Hello and welcome to Sparks. I'm Deirdre Brennan. I'm the Executive Director of RAIL, Review Across Libraries, Illinois Library System in Illinois, obviously. And I just want to start out by saying we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I apologize in advance if I sound not as wonderful as I usually do. So anyway, this is the 36th episode of this podcast, and we started it, obviously, 3 years ago, even more, to prompt debate and conversation about important trends in libraries in Illinois and across the country. So my guests today are Anne Craig and Michele Leigh from CARLI, and CARLI is the Consortium of Academic and Research Libraries in Illinois, and Anne is the Senior Director there, and they have many wonderful programs, but what we're going to talk about today is SCORES, a fabulous project, a really, really important project to expand access to open educational resources in Illinois. So welcome, Anne and Michele. Very glad to have you here today. So in order to sort of minimize my talking, maybe you could just take turns telling us about the grant and what you guys hope to accomplish.
Okay, if Anne doesn't mind, I'll start. Hello, everyone, and we're super excited to be talking to you about our new grant. So one of the things that CARLI, the Consortium of Academic Research Libraries in Illinois, one of the things we're always interested in is looking how we can add value to our members. And the fund came to our attention. It's the Fund for the Improvement of Post-Secondary Education, FIPSE, and it's through the Department of Education. And it came to our attention. We were encouraged by many of our members to apply for the grant, to pursue this opportunity. We were lucky that we have a knowledgeable staff here at CARLI, and we work together with many of our members to write the grant application. And thankfully, we were awarded the grant. And so the Illinois SCORES grant stands for the Support for the Creation of Open Educational Resources. And with this grant that CARLI received, we're going to be turning it around and awarding competitive sub-awards to many of our members, hopefully 8 to 10. Do you want to add anything,
Anne? I think that one of the things that's really important to us, Dee, and stood out to us always about working on OER at CARLI is that OER is really an equity issue, a social justice issue, and one that we, many of our members felt very engaged with and felt is really just tip-top important these days. Textbook costs are a huge concern to students. Recent estimates place that cost at about $1,300 a year for public four-year institutions. So it's significant. And, if you've got to choose, Dee, between food, eating, childcare maybe, and buying your textbooks, you're not going to buy your textbooks. And so we're seeing some really staggering statistics about the numbers of students who are choosing just not to buy the textbook. And, that's really a disadvantage just right out of the gate for these students. So our members came to us and said, hey, CARLI, this is something that you can address at scale, because that's what CARLI does. We do things that we can address at scale. And so, as Michele said, it's just how do we help our members? How do we add value to the services that we can provide? So that's really how we came to it.
And-
Yes, I was reading, oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to add that as a former educator in higher ed, I think one of the things that the Open Education Resource Program does is it allows you to really rethink how you teach, right? And it gives students, not only does it give them reduced costs, but it gives them more ownership of their own education, which really is where you can actually move towards an equitable learning process for all of our students across the board. So there's a lot of potential there, and all of these things together make it a really exciting program.
I was reading in your press release that Senator Durbin has been instrumental. He was one of the leaders, sponsors for the Affordable Textbook Act, which as I understand it, is funding these programs across the country. And it also says, in line with what you guys are saying, that according to a survey from the Public Interest Research Group, 65% of students last year decided not to buy a textbook. I mean, that's, to not have, I mean, I can't even imagine how I would have gotten through college if I didn't have textbooks. So the social justice, the equity issues are huge. And I think that, a lot of our listeners, viewers, whatever, are not aware of this. And so I'm so glad also that this is going to be a real, public awareness.
I think higher ed in general is coming to understand that going to college, getting a college degree it's not just how do you pay the tuition. It's how do you pay the tuition? How do you pay the fees? How do you buy the textbooks? How do you pay for room and board? There's a whole host of tentacles that go into the concept of going to college, So how do we as librarians, as a library consortium, how can we help higher ed students in this state realize that dream? I mean, this is one piece, but it's an important piece, definitely.
So what subject areas are you going to be covering, and why did you pick those?
I can talk to this. So the subject area that was chosen was the human condition, care, development, and lifespan, which is a really broad stroke. And but the beauty of it is that it gets to a lot of those introductory classes that students take in a variety of fields, right? So everything from health to nutrition, microbiology, genetics, chemistry, nursing, therapy, child development, psychology, biochem, human sexuality. There's a whole gamut of classes that would fit under that rubric, which really then allows us to hopefully potentially reach the most students in the state of Illinois, right? So if we're targeting those introductory big lecture classes, what we're doing is we're really helping the most students that we can.
And we're also hoping that our members will partner with each other, Dee, that we will have institutions joining together and saying, we want to come in on a grant application to CARLI, where, we're two community colleges, or a community college and a private, or a public and a private, or whatever the combination is, but come in together to build a resource that they can use with their class, so that we have an even bigger impact. It's really important.
So how can Rails be involved? How can we help you?
We have you lassoed, Dee. You and I talked about this issue many months ago, and you asked me, what can Rails do? Well, we have you in this project as a partner as a collaborator, as a group that will help us with things like reviewing the grant applications, reviewing the textbooks that are created. I mean, Michele, right? We've got lots of partners, right?
Yes, and I think that's something important to keep in mind too, is that this isn't just CARLI doing this. This is a concerted effort by our members, which are, the 127 colleges, universities throughout Illinois, plus a number of other partners like the Illinois Community College Board, the Illinois Board of Higher Education, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, RAIL, of course, the Illinois Heartland Library System, Illinois State Library, the Illinois Library Association, the Health Sciences Librarians of Illinois, and the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign's Division of Disability Resources and Educational Services. So, and in addition to that, we're also, part of the grant is we're also bringing in community members who work in the fields that the classes will be, subjects will be covering. So that way we're also incorporating sort of real world, real life aspects of the course, so that there's applicability, right? So if it's a course on nursing, we'll have someone from the nursing, from who actually works in the field of nursing, who will be vetting the material and saying, yes, this is exactly what all of our students, your students who come out of this course need to know, so they're prepared in the workplace, right? So the other beauties about this is that it's going to go beyond just their college education. This will be skills and knowledge that they'll take with them in the workplace when they get out and are applying for jobs.
And we also have funding built into the grant to provide peer reviews for the written material. This is one of the frequently articulated concerns about OER, is that it is, how do we know it's any good? Where's the quality control? So one of the things that's hardwired into this funding is that the material will be circulated to experts in the field beyond Illinois, well, including Illinois, but also beyond Illinois, to ensure that there is peer review, agreement, that it's had a light shined on it from experts all over the country, could be outside the country, I suppose, but we are really concerned with making quality OER that will absolutely positively be used by the classes at these organizations.
That is awesome. So I know we're talking now in the fall of 2021, and this is launching, and I believe it runs through 2024. Am I correct about that? So there's a couple of rounds, or if you just kind of lay out what will go on in a general kind of way.
Sure. We had to, we recently revised our timeline to make it more realistic with the time frame we have. So we have 3 years from the start of the grant till the final submission of the data that we collect about the project, which means we have a rather tight turnaround. But we are confident that there are faculty and staff members out there who are willing to take on the challenge. So the official application will be open December 1st. Applications will be due April 1st of 2022. The sub-awards will be announced May 15th of 2022. And so from that point on, there will be we assume rather hectic several months of writing and revising and editing and the creation of the ancillary materials, which I can talk about in a second. And then the final submission of the total completed project that's been peer reviewed and vetted by our advisory committee. Everything will be launched and online in, I believe, February, March of 2023, with the idea that then it would be available for course adoption. And hopefully then we'll have at least 1 to 2 semesters, so the 23-24 academic year, where the materials will be used and we can start collecting data about the efficacy and usability of the materials. So it's going to be like a steam train, but it'll be
So what do you want to tell us about the ancillary materials?
This isn't just a textbook, right? This is the whole thing, right? So you could actually pick up, say, if you were a new faculty member and assigned to teach genetics 101, you could go to our site and there everything would be. You'd have the textbook, you'd have lesson plans, there might be videos that you could choose from, test banks, sample assignments, 3D printing projects that would correlate with and enrich the classroom environment. So all of those materials will be part of the project. It's not just writing a textbook. Right. And so because of that, also, each applicant will have a team that will be mirrored here at CARLI. So there's the person writing the application. There will be sorry. I just went blank.
That's okay. So yeah, the goal is really to mirror at the local grantees, the team that we've built at CARLI. And the team that we've built at CARLI includes roles like a proofreader, a 3D printer coordinator trainer, an instructional design person, someone who's an expert in copyright, and then an overall project director. So the local team needs to have more or less that same kind of makeup and includes some local industry sector representatives. So again, we can ensure that people who are taking these classes are really learning what people in the industry believe they need to know, the toolbox they need to come out of their education with. So, it's a lot of people on both sides, on the CARLI side as well as on the recipient side, but we had looked at a number of existing OER projects around the country, and we felt confident that this is really the best way to ensure that the work is one of quality and completeness.
And I think it's important to know too that we're not expecting everyone to already be experts. CARLI's going to be having a series of workshops and trainings, so the idea is that we're not hoarding all of the expertise at CARLI. We actually are disseminating that expertise. And so our first grant round, because we're hoping there will be more, we'll have 8 pods of expertise across the state, and then ideally those pods would grow to expand, so that way we have a vibrant OER community across the state and everyone's sharing, working together, and that knowledge it's not just for the students, it's also for faculty and staff. These are really important skills and tools to know.
And, because we're involving other organizations like Rails, we feel like building this muscle locally at the consortium level, whether we're talking about CARLI or Rails or Heartland or the State Library, whatever group it is we're talking about, that building that muscle, understanding about what OER are and how we are supporting learning in Illinois. We feel like that is really a great benefit of this grant. I mean, just a really wonderful, wonderful piece for all of us, not just, the recipients, that we'll be learning and growing so much through all of this,
Well, I couldn't agree more. So I think this is fantastic and essential. So are you looking for applicants now, or, how's that going to work? I presume you'll put out a grant award announcement. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be putting out the call for applications later this month, later in November.
Okay.
And like I said, the application portal and the application itself will be available December 1st. And so we haven't scheduled yet, but we'll be doing workshops to talk about how you apply and what kinds of things you need. And so we'll be doing workshops later in November and early December, and perhaps some in January too, so that way we can sort of broaden the awareness of it, but also then be helping everyone with the application process. And this is going to be a competitive process. We'll have a team of CARLI members, and I believe other partners will be reading and vetting the applications. And we're interested in work that utilizes as much original content as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, yeah. And works that will also reach as many students as possible.
Great. So if our viewers, listeners want to know more, and I'm sure that they do, or they will, they get in touch with you, Michele?
Sure, they can contact me. My email is mleigh@uilllinois.edu, or also check our website, the carli.illinois.edu website. If you go under products and services and then collection management, you'll see a link for Illinois scores, and we'll have information there as well.
Great, and we'll post all that information too, along with this podcast, obviously. So is there anything else you want to tell us, or the listeners and viewers at this point?
We have an email list, and we'll send you that link, Dee, so you
Great.
can include
Okay.
it. I think that's a really good way to keep updated on the project. We're just super excited to have this opportunity, and I'm super excited that Michele came on board.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michele. Yay.
This is great because I'm so excited to be here. This is a fabulous, it's a fabulous program, and I'm really excited. And one advice I would suggest to your viewers and listeners would be start thinking now about what classes you can propose, and start looking at who is teaching something similar at other universities, so that way you can work together.
Collaboration being a very important piece, of course. Yeah.
Exactly, because of our timeline, it's going to require a lot of work, and if you can collaborate with other faculty and staff from other universities, it's going to cut down on the work.
And all this material, once it's finished, will be posted as open educational resources. So anyone, anywhere in the world can use this material. So, we want to just keep pushing that idea out there, because it is still a little bit new in some quarters that, what I create, what I write is available for everyone. Well, that's the goal of this funding, is to make this material available universally, freely, for adaptation, for reuse, for repurposing, the whole 9 yards. So we're excited about that. And we do want to keep emphasizing that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Really glad we can get the word out, or at least help you get the word out now. And I'm looking forward to being an active partner. And I know a lot of us at Rails are. So thank you very much, Anne and Michele. And we'll sign off for now.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, everybody. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. All
We look
right.
forward to hearing from
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you very much for listening to Sparks today. Sparks is produced by the Reaching Across Illinois Library System. If you would like to learn more about the show or share your feedback on the topics discussed, please visit railslibraries.info/sparks.